Hi, everyone. Welcome to Damsel of Success. I'm Melisa Ford, and today I am very pleased to have Emily Bartz on the show with us. Emily is a financial coach from Firebird Finance. Hello, Emily.
Hello.
And she's going to be talking to us today about elder care planning and specifically about a checklist that we can use when we're planning for elder care or our own or others' future. So, Emily, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, glad to. So I started taking control of my own finances after seeing my parents' experience with my dad's disability, which we'll get into, and how they struggled financially as a result. I saw how not having their financial lives together touched every other aspect of their life. After that, I became obsessed with my own finances, particularly paying on debt. Initially, I just wanted to have my own money so that I wasn't part of their financial problems. And now as an adult, I just want to keep all of our options open for all of our family, as we grow. So I've been doing financial coaching for friends and family for years now, and officially started Firebird Finance in 2019. My approach focuses generally on aligning your spending with your values, and using your money to build the life that you deserve. So those are the methods that my wife and I currently use, and that will help us reach financial independence without sacrificing the joy of the journey along the way.
That is beautiful. Like I just so people in the audience, I know Emily on the side, and I am constantly amazed by her story and by the advice that she brings, and her level of knowledge about finance. So thank you for coming on, Emily. I'm very glad to have you here.
Aw, shucks.
So like I said, today Emily is going to be talking to us about elder care planning, and she has actually prepared us a checklist of 6 items to do while we are still young and healthy to prepare for the days when we may not be. So Emily, then I'm going to let you take the floor. Why don't you tell us about these 6 steps?
Yeah, absolutely. So the checklist is part of an ebook that I just released. It's free, so no charge. Yeah, and it's called The Path Forward, Your Elder Care Planning Checklist. And it's actually got 2 checklists. One is what to plan for yourself, like you said, while you're still healthy and young. And the other is what to plan for loved ones who maybe aren't. So today we're just going to go through what to do for you and what to start with, now.
So Emily, what is our first step when planning for elder care?
Right, so the first step that I want you guys to plan for yourselves is actually going to be some documents. Yay!
Yay, documents!
So I'll break this up into, pre-mortem and post-mortem because that's the fun way to do it. And basically your pre-mortem documents are, documents that would help you while you're still alive, right? So first we have your healthcare directive and your living will. So this is, could be 1 document, could be 2. It depends on your state. In my state, it's actually 1 document, and part 1 is your living will, which is what allows you to state what your medical care wishes are in the event that you cannot make your own healthcare decisions, right? So if you're, on life support or something like that, you are unable to make those decisions for you. This states what you would want in that case. And then part 2 of that same document, like I said, could be a different document, depends on your state, is your healthcare directive. And that allows you to appoint someone who will make your healthcare decisions, hopefully in accordance with what your living will is.
Gotcha.
So that is, something that will benefit you while you're still alive and is absolutely needed today. So your power of attorney, this gives someone the legal authority for someone of your choosing to basically take charge of your healthcare and finances and basically step in and be you and make decisions for you, right? So this person will pay your bills and make, retirement fund decisions for you. They will do all kinds of things in your stead to help. And you get to choose who that person is. For most of us, it will be a spouse, could be a friend, could be a son or daughter. Just depends on your situation. And what you would want is a durable power of attorney that can be signed now and then go into effect upon incapacitation.
Okay.
Right? So don't worry that you're going to sign it, and then all of a sudden you're going to have no rights. If you really think someone's going to do that to you, maybe rethink them being your POA.
Yeah.
And the key with this document is once you sign it, you have to guard the original document like your life depends on it. So basically, if you don't have the original, it's like you never had it.
Oh, wow. Okay. So there's no like copying it.
No copying
having it around. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So my dad was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's at age 49. And, so we're 20 years out from that or so. And what happened, there was time between diagnosis and when he was truly deemed, disabled. And in between that time, my mom was able to sign a POA, which you must be in your right mind to sign. So like I said, do it right now, go. And at that point, it only goes into effect once you're legally disabled and incapacitated. Unfortunately, my mom lost that document.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
And every bank or institution that, needs you to act as a POA needs to see the original.
Wow.
Right. So once she lost it, she had to go through a process called conservatorship, which I detail in the book. It's basically, it's a long process, it's expensive, and you have to report back to the court, on a yearly or, semi-annual basis, depending on your state, on everything that you've spent their money on, and, just to keep absolutely pristine records. Otherwise, they could audit you and they could go into a whole thing. So, those are your pre-mortem documents. And then post-mortem, this is, everybody knows what a will is, right? So that's how you detail the distribution of your assets. And that would be done by an executor of your choosing. And hopefully you've chosen also a backup executor, just in case something happens to them, right? And what's great about will is, it's very simple to get. It's simple to read through and understand, and it's good for small and simple portfolios, right? The bad part about it is that you have to go through probate before your executor gets to distribute your assets. So, that's just another court process, and it just takes longer to get to the point where everything is distributed.
Okay.
So another option is you have a living trust, or also known as a revocable trust. And that's similar to a will, but it avoids the probate process, which is great. However, it's pretty expensive, or can be very expensive to set up. However, it holds up better if it's contested, and it, saves court costs on that front. But really, this is something you'd only want to get if you have a very complex portfolio, right?
Okay.
So if multiple houses and, or things in different countries, or if you have someone that maybe you'd want to set up a special needs trust, which is once again something I touch on in the book. But there's lots of different reasons why you might need this. But for most of us, we can get away with a simple will.
Gotcha. Unless we're we're bazillionaires and we just got a trophy wife and the children hate her, then
right, exactly,
we're probably okay.
You can afford it. It's fine.
Yeah. So then, Emily, what is step 2?
Right. So step 2 is term life insurance, right? So you want to take a look at term life insurance. Basically, it's much cheaper and generally better. Nuances there, but generally better than whole life. And it's for a set term, shock, of, usually 20 to 30 years, where you can, be covered for, $250, $500, $1 million, whatever you might need. And I recommend going to a financial coach or advisor to help you figure out what level of coverage you might need. But then after that amount of time, the plan expires and you no longer have that coverage. However, the assumption is in 20 or 30 years, you might not need the same amount of coverage because your home might be paid off. Your kids are in college now, you don't have the same level of expenses that you once had. And you've also been saving diligently, right, for retirement.
She says, right.
Right. So, they're like comparative services like Policy Genius, or that can, you can take a look at, and we'll compare rates for you to find your best plan.
So then on to step 3. What's step 3, Emily?
So step 3 is disability insurance. A lot of people don't have disability insurance, partly because it's just not offered at their job. but it's critical. It's a little more expensive than life insurance, but it's because you're 3 times more likely to need it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So, and you can have like short-term disability insurance, and that would cover something like, I broke my ankle and I work on a construction site. I'm out for 3 months, something like that. And it'll generally cover, between 40 and 60% of your previous salary. And then something that's extremely important is long-term disability insurance. So this is something that literally would have saved my parents hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So the part of the problem is you have company plans versus privately held plans, and having a company plan, that's great, and they're generally cheaper. They're much cheaper. I think mine's like, $4 a week or something. However, if you're in a situation like my parents, where my dad was not working at the time of his diagnosis, he just happened to be in between jobs and was shockingly having a hard time in the interview process.
Oh, man.
So, right. So, and they didn't have privately held long-term disability insurance. So basically they got nothing. But, if they had had something there, giving them a few $1,000s every month, or, you can set either with a privately held plan, you can go either for a dollar amount or something related to your salary. It depends on the plan. But basically having that, they would have been able to not spend down their retirement funds, at least not as fast, or not spend through my college fund and my brother's college fund. And,
Oh, man.
right.
Yeah.
So then when they sold their house, they would have actually been able to still, have funds, and my mom wouldn't have to work into her 70s. So you can see kind of the domino effect of terrible that this has if you don't have it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a really good story to kind of help relay that point and to warn us that we have to pay attention to these things.
Right. And you can have a long-term disability plan that goes, for 5 years, which, will cover most long-term disabilities. But if it's something like my dad, you would want something that covers you all the way till age 65.
Sure. Yeah.
What I have, just because, I've been burned.
Yeah. Sure. And we kind of never know, I don't think anybody ever thinks that they're going to get burned.
Right.
Which is why insurance exists. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Emily. So we have gone through steps 1 through 3. Take us into step 4.
All right. So step 4, I say that like it's going to be an exciting thing, is long-term care insurance.
It is exciting.
Yes, right. So, I mean, the average cost of just going into an assisted living facility is about $4,000 a month, right? And that's usually before you need any level of actual skilled care. So everything just kind of gets piled on top of everything else. So long-term care insurance helps to offset those costs. The reason long-term care insurance is so much more expensive than most other insurances is because one out of 3 people will need to use it. And, it'll cover you for, 2 or 3 years of your stay. And that's just about how long the average stay is, right? It's between 2 and 3 years.
Okay.
So, if it's a permanent disability, it's, and you end up being there for 10 years, it offsets some of the cost. But, if it's something like traditional where you're only there for 2 or 3 years, it could cover your whole cost. But this one's not like a clear-cut win for you. It depends on your age and, basically what your plan is. So right now, my wife and I are planning on kind of being able to cover our own costs for the average, cost of one of these stays. And basically what it would cover. So right now, because we're, about 30, we saving the amount a month that a plan would cost us, which is just about $200 a month, until we're age 67, which is when the plan covers you up to, is at least the one that we were looking at. We get higher returns in the market for that amount of time.
That makes sense.
So it depends on, Yeah, exactly. So it really depends on, what you're planning. And basically that's money that's just going to be set aside for that. If you don't need it, like, great, put it in a donor advised fund or put it, give it to your kids, have the most baller funeral of all time,
That's in my plan. That's
There you
absolutely in my plan.
Yeah, so for this, I would absolutely recommend some kind of a calculator and getting multiple plan quotes and really just sitting down and doing the math, which a coach or advisor can help you with, to really see if this is something that would work for you. It's generally, if you're on the older side, your 40s or 50s, this is something that could definitely help offset your costs if you haven't already accounted for them.
Wow. Okay. That's great to know. Okay, so next up is step number 5. And this one actually Emily has already told me to do, and I've started doing it. And I'm just going to tell you guys, it's like a really amazing tip. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Emily. Step number 5.
Thanks. Yes. And this one is actually not mine. And, I do endorse this product as much as I possibly can. It's amazing. Also, it was in this past season's Fed to Me. So.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was in episode 9 of
Wow.
season 2 of Dead to Me.
See, like
Random
elder
fact.
care planning is the hot topic happening, people.
Exactly. So basically, what I'm talking about is the Smart Money Mama's ICE binder, right? So ICE is in case of emergency. And, we've laid out everything that, if you were to die, this is what happens with all of my things, blah, blah, blah. You name your caretaker for your children and your pets and all of that. But then what, right? So how do they know how to take care of them in the way that, you do? So right. Basically, and this is even more than just that.
Yeah, like
so I mean,
your
oh my
account
gosh,
and all
everything,
yeah.
everything. So basically, the ICE binder is kind of like a brain dump of everything that someone who needs to pick up and be you would need to know. So it's a great thing to give someone who has a POA for you, for example.
Yeah.
So basically, it's everything from how to pay your existing bills, what and where all of your passwords to all of your accounts are, what insurance policies you have, and then all the necessary information about your kids, right? Their doctors, their friends, what activities they do, their preferences and routines, like, is Bobby a morning kid or is he a night owl? What's his favorite food? All of these things that you never really think of, but they're all the things that matter, and it will help whoever takes care of your kids be able to connect with them that much sooner and understand them a little bit better, right? And then same thing with your pets, right? It's got their bedtime, their feeding schedule. Stella, who's on the desk behind me, Stella doesn't get like scritched behind the ears and she's gonna bite you. I want to put that in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Very good to know.
It's a fantastic thing to have. I think it's either $30 or $40, but it's well worth it. And I got to tell you, if you do buy it and your family finds it empty, they're going to be mad. Yeah. They're going to say, oh my gosh, look, Melisa thought of everything. Wow. And then they open the binder and it's blank. And then they go.
She is absolutely saying this because I told her a couple weeks ago that I bought it like months before and hadn't started it. Yep. So FYI, she's yelling at me, guys. Yeah, but like I think that it is such a great resource, and just FYI, I'm gonna put a link to it down in the description along with a link to Emily's ebook, because that is like she's giving us like the icing on top of the cake here, but that ebook is so in depth on all of this stuff. So definitely look in the description below for a link to both of these resources. So Emily has been kind enough to walk us through steps 1 through 5, and we are on to step 6. Emily, what is your last recommendation for what we can do to plan for elder care?
Yes. So the last step is really just something you want to really make yourself aware of, right? So Social Security, there's a lot of debate on whether it's still going to exist or not in 30, 40 years when we actually need it for retirement.
Yep. And just sorry to interject here, Emily, but I've talked about this a little bit before, and I'm just going to throw a link up here really quick because it's a complicated subject. And if you want to know my take on it, just click on the link above. But otherwise, Emily, take it away.
Yeah, so there's actually more benefits than just retirement that you need to consider when you're talking about Social Security. And the way that you can figure that out is you can actually go and make a profile on the Social Security admin website. It's just ssa.gov. And you can go create a profile, and that will show you not only your retirement benefits, but your disability, shocking, that's what we're talking about, and any survivor benefits if something were to happen to you, right? So depending, your spouse after age, 62 or 67, whatever they want to take it, could get retirement benefits, survivor benefits from you, or your spouse and a minor child could get survivor benefits.
Okay.
So the disability and survivor benefits, that's something that exists today. So that's something that you could absolutely count in your plans should something happen to you today.
Okay.
The retirement benefits, I will yield to Melissa's video on that. Because we do not have that kind of time.
No, we do not.
So, in addition to these 6 action steps that are, like I said, what to plan for yourself, I've got a whole section on what you need to plan for your elderly loved ones, right? That could be your parents, uncles, aunts, doesn't matter. In my case, it's, my dad. And so I've got a checklist on what to do to plan for them. And that includes, basically all the upfront work to get all the information from them, because, you might not have the best relationship with them, especially people hate talking about money. There's a lot there.
Yeah.
And then I go through what documents they need. And then I do a pretty decent deep dive into the federal programs that are available to you if you do need funding, right? And
yes.
Most of us, unfortunately, will need some kind of funding to be able to help pay for everything that's going on. So there's a lot there, and I would just strongly urge you to check it out.
Absolutely. And I guys, I've seen this book. It is so valuable, and she's giving it away for free. So take it while it's hot, because I don't know if that's always going to be a thing for Emily to offer this thing for free. I personally vote that she sells it, but she's not doing that right now. So that's your benefit if you choose to take it up.
Give it time.
Yes. So Emily, thank you so much for going through those steps. I just want, before we wrap up, I just want to ask you one little fun question, Emily, so that the audience can get to know you a little bit better, because one thing, yes, Emily does offer coaching services, and she's a tremendous financial coach. So if you're looking for someone, I know she offers that. And I also know that she does so online. So you don't have to be in her area in order to use her services. And she's amazing. So if you're struggling with anything financially, Emily is your go-to girl, for sure. But I want you guys to know her a little bit better before she leaves. So I'm going to ask you a little question here. Emily, what would your future self be psyched that you're doing right now?
I love that question. I watch a lot of podcasts, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I follow a lot of personal finance people, and that is a new question. I like that. What would my future self be excited that I'm doing now? Honestly, the fact that I have been saving for retirement, and we're planning to be able to keep our options open, right? So once we have kids, which stay tuned, where my wife is able to quit, and I might be able to go part-time, or take a new job for something that makes me less money but might make me happier, or do coaching full-time, or do anything, or even take a few years sabbatical. Basically just saving in general is something that I think that I will be exceedingly excited about. And having long-term disability insurance, just
and a POA, and filling out the ICE, by the
way. Right, exactly, and doing everything that's in the book.
Yes.
Cough in, cough.
Awesome. Well, Emily, where can people find you outside of this video?
Yeah, so I am, I have firebirdfinance.com, and then I have Instagram, which I'm pretty active on. You can see lots of pictures of my dog. Not my wife, just my dog.
How does she feel about that?
She knows.
Okay. She's aware.
She gets it.
Animal obsessed. Okay.
Right. And that is just Firebird_finance on Instagram. And then I am Emily Firebird on Twitter.
So thank you for sharing where people can contact you. For anybody watching, I will put those links in the description below so that you can find Emily really fast. And that pretty much wraps things up today. So if you liked this video, be sure to press the like button. And if you loved the video, make sure you subscribe, because I put out a video on personal finance every single Wednesday, and I would love to have you follow along and see how I can help you in the future. So thanks again for watching. That's all for now. Bye.
Bye.